Shalom. This is an emergency broadcast alert giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, in whom we are in great debt. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who were well, continue doing so, standing firm in the eyes of terror who I learned this truth from. To the elders, the bishops, Akim and Aquab, salutations and blessings to the house of David. We are the hopeful elect at GMS. This is your brother Quasiar. One another quick one. I've made a lengthy video of this and other things I was talking about, including the coming psyops, and this is part of the psyops. And so I decided I needed to make several videos on that video that I made because it is kind of lengthy. There's a lot of information, and I know not everybody's gonna watch it because it's about an hour. So I'm gonna try to make short videos of that same video, because what happens is that why would someone take out patents on drugs or how to heal with a drug or a specific disease? Why does a disease have a patent? And I explain it, but I'm gonna explain it again because it's about controlling or getting rid of the Israelites, the tribe of Judah and Israel together, because that's the main point, to regain the birthright, or should I say the blessing that they gave away for a bowl of lentils. And who did that? Esau Edom, so-called white man, Edom, Esau actually, and is written enough in Genesis, all right? And he continued to pursue his brother, with his madness after that, because he saw that he effed up to this day. And yes, he was born a Hebrew, but he became heathen. Why? Because he mingled away from the truth. He mingled away in desires of lust. He denied Yahweh, Wahashim Yahushai. Yes, he was made to do just that. Let's not get twisted. This is why we're looking at this article that Jimmy Dole showed. Now, I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play this particular video that he's showing. I'm going to show you something else because it'll be quicker. So this is Psalms 2 verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? For a very long time, I wondered why, if a people, there are so many, are so low, right? I've asked that as a kid, as a child. I didn't know any better. I asked myself, I'm surrounded by so many of my people, and why are we so low? Shouldn't we be higher than we are, doing something better than we are? And why are we just slaves? We're practically slaves to the system. Everything that I would do, it would crumble. That's for another video, because Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai had that happen to our people. All right, so we're not going to get into that part. But the questioning that I used to ask myself, and then after a while, as a child, you would hear cancer, pop up here and there, and nothing major. Nothing major, but uh, maybe what is it, 30, 40 years later, I was like, where in the world, who's doing what to, that so many people are coming up with cancer. They're coming up with these diseases that are just, it's just like rapid. It's like a wave, like, like a tsunami type of thing. And so here's your answer, man, because Apostle Tahar has mentioned it, that parasites do affect the body and they cause other diseases, and he goes into it, right? The thing about it is this: when someone that knows this and starts explaining the basics of it, and not everybody knows how to do that, because you really got to study a lot to actually get into the specifics, right? When someone like Dr. Sabi, he got into the specifics of what plants can do to the body and how much of these plants do you need to take and what you need to stay away from. There's a pattern, and there's a regimen that you need to follow to actually overcome the parasites that are constantly attacking, which they live with you. These parasites, a lot of the parasites are born in you, and the only way you control them is through the food. But if you take the nutrition out of the food, and you take what's the word, the out of the water, you take out you don't have the same alkaline balance in the water, and the same thing happens to the air, right? So there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen to the body because of this, and you can call it a specific disease. And this is not medical information. All I'm explaining is something that regularly happens on our daily basis. I'm not talking about specific medicine, and I'm not talking about a specific, medication and so on, so what. All right, I'm talking about the human body and what you would need to do to maintain equilibrium in your health. Again, Psalms 2 verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The people, the heathen, these people who are against Yahweh and Yahushai, the ones who control, the Lord Yahweh and Yahushai put in control, because soon he is going to chop them down. He's going to take them out. But these are the results of verse 2. The kings of the earth set themselves, which they didn't set themselves. It was Yahweh and Yahushai. But for the world and the people, they can see that these people had set themselves, to control everything and everyone. And they continue doing so. And their last step to fully control the population is that MOTV, that radio frequency device that will control you completely. And I might have to show a little bit of that later if I have the time. I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. So, verse 2. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord. And not just the Lord, it is his people, because they did take counsel and crucify Yahushai. They constantly taking counsel and hating the things of Yahweh, the creator, right? They deny the creator, and against his anointed, saying, right? So his anointed, first it was Yahushai, and then his followers, the elect, the 144,000. They know the apostles, they know these men, they know. They're just not going to come out and tell you. Okay, so where was I? Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. And that has to do with the fact that he had pursued us from the very beginning, back from the days that he, after he sold his bowl, what is it, his, so like he sold his birthright for a bowl. He pursued his brother, as he mingled and time went by, he would actually team up. And when I say he, I'm talking about Esau will team up with our people's enemies and would give away a lot of our secrets because he knew who we were. He had part of our lineage. All right, so he had knowledge of the things that we did and how we maneuver. And even till this day, he goes as far as, because he went in deeper this time. This is the reason why the practice, the medical practice. Okay, and again, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just speaking on it. All right. So the medical practice, they say is for science and to better humanity, but there's what's the word I'm looking for? To make it simple, you ever seen a coin with the same face? And no matter how you flip it, it always goes to that same face. This is why the political party is called West Wing, East Wing. It's still the same bird, right? In science, it's the same thing. You get funded for miracle cures, but there's always someone using it to hurt others. Okay. But eventually, after all that he's doing, in verse 4, it tells you that he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. Why? Because he set him up to do those things, and he's gonna cut them off. He's got a set time, all right, to do the things that he's done, or should I say, to continue to do, because he's still doing them. The Lord shall have them in derision. Why? Well, I'll show you why. And this is only part of what the why. Okay, there's plenty of other things that Esau Edom is doing that we'll soon find out.
I guess recently became unearthed, and you can read it for yourself. It talks about parasitic worms which live in the intestine exhibit a pronounced they deposit in their bodies large quantities of glycogen, which is a fuel for cancer. The accumulation of glycogen is one of the properties which they share with tumors. The tissues of both intestinal parasitic worms and cancer tumors belong to the... So, tell me about...
Wait a second. So, you understand why they implement sugar in the cereal in the morning? Do you understand why they push that you should add sugar and salt in your food, certain foods? You understand why a lot of the stuff you buy in the cans, they have sugar, there's so many things that don't need sugar in them, but they put it in it. And they say it's to preserve it. Well, there are a lot of other stuff that you can be using to preserve. Why would you use sugar in pickles? Like when you pickle in a jar, pickles, why would that have sugar? Or fermentation. Okay. Isn't there another way to ferment stuff? Yes, there is. Isn't sugar supposed to what's the word? Because what happens is that if you ferment with sugar, it turns into liquor, right? So it could get sour. So there's other stuff that is put in there to control that, because there's sweet pickles, right? So what do they have to do to actually get that pickle after it's jarred and fermented to stay sweet? It's the amount of sugar that is being put in it. All right. So even though you taste the sour and you can taste the vinegar, you actually can taste the sugar in it also, because that's the amount of sugar that's being put into it. A lot of sugar. Now, why am I saying this? It's because Esau Edom, so-called white man, has scientists poking around. You know, he funds billions and billions of dollars to actually find out what negative effect, you know, certain things will have in the body for the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Unfortunately, a lot of his people fall from it also, but they don't have the same effect, because this is why it's called. Wait a second, I gotta do it now. I gotta go get it. So before I play the rest of that video, because I'm gonna play a little bit more of Jimmy's video, but as you can see, electronic warfare, right? I'm not gonna get into this. You should look it up for yourself. There's different types of attacks that are happening, especially through your router, and that's all I'm gonna give you. Look things up, because you know it is what it is. I can't say but so much. Do I have proof? The proof is out there. Just look it up.
Yeah, this is another crazy story, and you know, some of the stuff, you can't even make this stuff up. So yeah, in the 1950s, the CIA obtained a document from Soviet scientists. It was actually a Soviet study where they did find that parasites and tumors exhibited similar behavior in the body, similar mechanisms of how they grew. They both loved sugar, they loved glycogen, and they feed on it, and it helps them grow. They found they work in similar ways. But the big part of that Soviet study.
Well, that's all I have for now. Look it up. This is a Jimmy Dore video. You can look his channel up. The name is Jimmy Dore Show. Jimmy as JIMMY Dore DORE Show. All right, look up his video. Shalom.